Hello everyone, my name's Tyler. I'm one of the GAs for Life 1010. Today we're going to be going over a quick tutorial on how to do your discussion section for your lab report. This is our last section. Woo, okay. This is where, in our results section, what we did is we just kind of stated our results and we didn't really interpret those. The discussion section is kind of where we're going to be interpreting those, but we're going to interpret those in kind of a specific way here. So there are four main points we want to hit when we are doing our discussion section. Most of the information I'm going to say is going to be on page 143 of our lab manual and also on page 155 of the lab manual where the rubric is located for that, okay? So there's four main points. The first one is you're going to state your alternative hypothesis and if it was supported or was not supported. All right, so the way we do this is we look back at our results up here and we look at our p-values. Okay, so if we look at our p-values and let's say they are less than 0.05, because remember that's the cutoff where something is like our significance cutoff. So in this case, it's 0.05, so it's 0.05 or less, and that means we have a significant difference here. So if I said it was significantly more, I would say it's significantly different there. So in this case, they're rejecting their null hypothesis, so they're supporting their alternative hypothesis. So notice how you are going to reject one or accept the other. So there's not rejecting both. So I kind of saw this last semester. You don't like reject both. So that's why we set up our hypotheses as will have an effect or will not have an effect on plant growth. So, all right. So we're going to use our statistics to support our or reject our alternative hypotheses. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to refer to prior research with proper citations. So in this case, if we look at our rubric here, we're going to have at least two sources here. So when I have two sources, you can reuse one of those sources, but you want to have at least three over your course of your entire lab report because it is one of our points on page 155 in our rubric that we're going to be covering. Okay, so if we go back here, they're going to reference like just different papers and what they found and how those results compare to past research. All right. So the next thing that's in here is our sources of error or bias. So in this case, you want to make sure if something went wrong, you want to state that in there. So let's say you were rinsing your plants or you were plucking your plants and half the plant stayed in and you didn't get all of it in the biomass to measure for biomass, or if something went wrong when you're preparing the plants, those are the things you're going to want to know or put in this section. So potential sources of error or bias there. So just kind of think about that when you put that in there. And then the last point we have is our significance of our research. All right, so this is where we are going to just kind of say why your project mattered, basically. So why did you do your research? How is this the differences or similarities between like prior research? How do those what do those mean? That's what you kind of put in there. And then an important point that we emphasize, it's on your rubric, it's the last point down here, is our relevant information or relevant or additional research questions. So we want to make sure we kind of progress, like say if we're going to do another experiment, we want to make sure like people kind of have places to go, or like they look at your paper and be like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea, and then they go do the experiment. So that's kind of how science moves forward in a way. So speaking of rubric, if we go to our assignments page and then we scroll all the way down and we find our homework, so we go to our discussion section, we want to make sure we hit all these points on the rubric there. So make sure you have all your p-values in there. It's not supported if it doesn't have a p-value on there. And then two sources for your literature. And then potential sources of error and bias, and then relevant additional research. So if you guys have any questions on this, please feel free to reach out to us via email or our online office hours. We're going to be there every week. So yeah, good luck on this. Stay happy and healthy, and I hope this helped.